Oh.
You ready? You ready for this ridiculousness?
I'm always ready.
Love it.
Welcome back to Rated Radio with your hosts, Rayburn Alexander and Shane Wyndham. Rayburn, what Billboard hit did we cover this week?
Enemy by Imagine Dragons featuring JID. J-I-D?
I don't have any idea.
I don't know either.
It looks like JID, but it's all caps, so...
We'll never know.
Hey, Rayburn.
What?
What did you think?
While Imagine Dragons gets a bad rap for all their tracks sounding the same, I disagree. This is one where they get it right. The increasing build and beat are infectious, and one that will stay with you. Perfect for gaming, in my opinion. 5 stars.
Well, let me start by saying 5 stars, then do everything in my power to make the rating sound like a lie. The problem is that while the song is a technical 5, my personal enjoyment of it is closer to the 4 range. It's simple, catchy, and easy to place thanks to the gamer-geared sound effects and soft-spoken rapping. Deep down, I worry that I've simply tired of that signature Imagine Dragons sound and that it's now eating away at what should be praise. Still, 5 stars by the skin of its teeth.
Excuse me while I go and lick my wounds. Roll the intro.
So we're going to start with Bloodhound Gang here, but let me just say that I'm hoping Rayburn and I are still on good terms by the start of the next episode, because what's out right now for the Rated Radio Revisited doesn't yet feature her playlist that I'll be listening to, where I critique, maybe I just talk about how awesome it is.
Okay, I doubt that very seriously.
But hopefully everything's still good in the future. If you're missing what we're talking about, I'm doing a little aside show on my YouTube channel. Whatever, let's talk about Bloodhound Gang. The first album we covered was Use Your Fingers from 1995. And this was my middle album.
This was my bottom album.
Out of the 19 tracks, I gave 6 5s.
I gave 1 5.
My top track was You're Pretty When I'm Drunk, but She Ain't Got No Legs was a close second for real.
Really? Okay, all right. My top track was One Way.
My bottom track was Most of the Skits.
Agreed, but I didn't find that fair to just say skits like I always say. So I pick Rang Dang.
Role reversal. What's wrong with Rang Dang?
There was something about it that I didn't dig on, man.
I figured that would be your jam. It's like silly and...
Most of their shit is silly.
No, I mean like seriously silly. Like you feel like you should be on a playground. It's got that like jump rope
sort of
rhyme thing.
Yeah. No, I think I just found it annoying. Yeah, but the skits are also an acceptable answer. So
Beastie Boys meets comedic punk and early ICP styles. Let me try that again for the bra straightening over.
I didn't mean to do that. I feel like my tits are popping out, dude. My bad.
Here, I'll do this. I'll put the paper up so even if they are popping out, I'll never know. Now. This LP certainly sounds like it was taped together in your class clown's basement, and Jimmy Pop outshines co-vocalist Daddy Longlegs, but this has some unexpected winners and highlights the group trying to separate influence from their unique star power. Not bad.
Rip Taylor scared the fuck out of me.
Not used to that.
Take that out of context if you want to. The first track on this album, Rip Taylor is just talking, scared the shit out of me when I started it. This is funnier Beastie Boys, just as funky, twice as goofy. Insert generic comment about skits here. I like that they pay homage to a lot of different songs and song styles with samples. I know typically that's not something that people like, but here it's done right and in a comedic form, so I don't mind it so much.
Yeah, some strange covers on this CD for sure.
Yeah.
The next album we covered was Hooray for Boobies.
Yay.
From 1999. This was my top album.
This is my middle album.
Out of the 19 tracks, I gave 12 5s.
Can I just say, before I say my 5s,
that you're a garbage human?
No, this probably would have been my top if I wasn't sticking my standard form of rating that I've established this whole time. This is my top album.
Okay.
Probably.
All right, well, maybe not a garbage human after all. I don't know.
Anyway.
I'm a garbage human, so.
I mean.
Maybe you are now.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I think we're all garbage humans. I gave it 3 5s out of 19 tracks.
My top track was A Lap Dance Is So Much Better When the Stripper Is Crying.
Classy, Shane. Very classy. My top track was Mope. And the reason why it is my top track is because long ago, when you put together that mix of CDs for me, Mope is one that I played over and over and over again. Because you did stick a Bloodhound Gang CD in there.
Mope, the one that samples Der Kommissar? Or no?
No.
It's Falco, right? It's a Falco song. Rock Me Amadeus.
Falco and shit. Yeah.
It's got Homer, sampled.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love it.
My bottom track was That Cough Came With a Prize.
Agreed. Fucking gross.
Yeah, it was gross.
Awful.
And that's the point. I think this group does skits just to make fun of skits, but sometimes they really are funny.
Ugh.
This was just...
Ugh.
Yeah,
gross.
this sounded like something your dad would do on purpose, right? This disc turns the production quality up to 11 and manages one of the more memorable comedic rock or industrial efforts ever. If all you know of this disc are the 2 big hits, you're doing yourself a disservice by not hearing the rest. All it really gets wrong are some skits and a few weak choruses. Some skits are genuinely good though, and the rest of the album is gold.
This is automatically a bit more rock-oriented, still silly, but lyrically creative. I found I knew more than I thought from Bloodhound Gang. Definitely not singers, but lyrics can also be a bit darker here.
There's something about Jimmy Pop, man, that just...
Yeah?
I wish he was a more known entity. I don't know, very underappreciated lyricist, and he's got there's some sort of charisma about him that just feels very unique. Maybe that's why they went with Rip Taylor early on, because that's a wholly unique character right there.
That is true. Before
we move on, I just want to mention that while I did list A Lap Dance as my top track, Yummy Down on This is awesome. That breakdown, just gagging, he's chugging on a cock. I love it. I always have. It's got such great lyrics for this industrial track. It's a weird show here,
The
Raven.
longer we fucking do this podcast, we're just peeling back layers and layers to your very, very thick onion ass over there. And you surprised me.
Okay, well, my bad.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just, I'm learning more about you as we go along. Apparently, you like to hear dudes choking on cock. Who knows? Who knew?
It's just funny. I think when I knew this album, but I wasn't deep into this album. And when we were doing Crude Mama's Boys, that was my comedy stuff I did with some friends, brothers, whatever you want to call them now.
Brother-in-laws?
Yeah.
They're all your brother-in-laws now.
It was a bro sesh that turned into genuine bros because 2 of them are with my sisters and I'm with another member's sister. Anyway, we referenced Bloodhound Gang a lot. Used them as a lot of inspiration. There was no copycat or anything going on. I think they say something about purple bulldog cheeks somewhere. And we were consistently trying to figure out what the fuck purple bulldog cheeks were.
Did you ever find out?
I don't think so.
If you know, let us know in the comments.
But when we were writing our material, that's when I discovered the breakdown to Yummy Down on This. I like the track, but I don't think I ever really listened to it in full until we were doing that stuff. And I realized, oh shit, you think you've thought of it all and you've done it all. And then you realize, no, they're dudes gagging themselves during a breakdown of a song somewhere. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize, man. We're talking about the music. You're still relevant. Let's go.
Our last album by the Bloodhound Gang was Hefty Fine from 2005. This was my bottom album.
This was my top album.
Out of the 13 tracks, I gave 2 5s.
I gave 3 5s.
Top track was No Hard Feelings.
My top track was
I love that you can't even say it.
My top track was Ralph Wiggum.
I did realize on this listen, I've always undervalued that song.
It's a great song.
I'll say that.
I will say that about this album. If you don't walk away with anything from this album, please take Ralph Wiggum home with you and just love him sweetly.
Yeah, if you're a Simpsons fan and
that's a great song
for something a little more musically not serious but fun. Bottom track for me was Hefty Fine.
Any of the skits or unts.
Oh, you didn't like untis?
No, not a fan.
What's that remind me of? Toby Keith's Sha-La-La song.
Which is why it fell in my bottom. Yeah. There you go.
Strange show. This album has 2 major flaws. The music is too bare bones, and the vocal delivery is a spoken sort of subdued. The skits are also mystifyingly stupid. Some tracks adopt the techno theme of building slowly to the boiling point, but the water simply goes from ice cold to lukewarm. Never really boils. I like the music in the Ralph Wiggum track. Other than that, a lot of this comes up short, with only Balls Out and No Hard Feelings making the cut for me.
This is more techno, metal, alternative forward. Stays consistent with rapping styles, though. I love the alternative contributions, like in Ralph Wiggum. More alternative contributions. I think the music, although it is accompanied by goofy lyrics, the music is extremely interesting and something that I can find myself listening to without really paying attention that the lyrics are goofy as fuck. So I liked it.
Okay. Note to self, if it's Dix for some reason, she'll enjoy this Lords of Acid type sound.
Still bitter about that, huh?
A little bit. I mean, you kind of trashed one of my favorite groups.
I find that I was still kind of very respectful, but, different conversation for a different time.
The former member Daddy Longlegs went on to form a group called Wolfpack, which you might be familiar with. You might not be. If not, give them a shot if you like Bloodhound Gang at all, or something like Limp Bizkit maybe, because there is something Limp Bizkit-esque about this group's music.
Yes.
For me, the music makes me feel like I'm stuck in the late 90s, early 2000s. Emphasis on stuck. Take what you will from that. It's not a sex joke. Don't do that with your eyes. Do you have any notes before I finish out?
I do. I have some notes before you finish. Originally, the group went by Bang Chamber 8. I don't know where the fuck that comes from, because there's not 8 of them.
That's almost creepy.
And then they got their name from the 1980s PBS kids show about 3 young detectives. So they, I guess, called themselves the Bloodhound Gang, and they liked it. Anyway.
All right.
Modeling their entire careers after a 80s kids show. PBS kids show. They essentially stopped making music after being pelted with eggs at a show in Russia.
See, I wanted to look this up, but
I didn't do a deep dive.
I never knew why it shows them as a former group.
Yeah, they just kind of stopped doing stuff.
And it wasn't that long ago. It was like 7 years back, I think, right? When they put their last album out.
Yeah, and it's nothing internal with the group. I just think that they didn't want to be in the public eye anymore, and they were like, oh, well, I guess we're done. They probably just got busy with life. You know what it's like. I know what it's like. Get busy.
We don't know what
life.
it's like. We don't know what it's like to make millions of dollars from
busy with life. Go ahead.
I didn't love this listen as much as I wanted to overall, but many of these songs are winners I keep returning to. And that Hooray for Boobies album is legitimately good in an enduring way. Also, Jimmy Pop is a musical character I'm unexplainably fascinated by. If you want to laugh while rocking out, this group is one you'll enjoy to some degree. Maybe a widely varying degree, but there are times when I'm really in the mood to hear a lot of this stuff. Yeah,
I was very surprised. I knew that they were like a goofy band. Like, obviously, the only song that I really thought I knew was... why am I forgetting? I can sing it. The Bad Touch.
Yeah.
Bad Touch. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows the music video. It's like, I think one of the most iconic music videos of its time. But at least if you don't do a somewhat deep dive of what we did, visit that Hooray for Boobies album.
Yeah. It even kicks off with like power. Like, I Hope You Die is exquisite.
Anything's better than Rip Taylor. As much as I love Rip Taylor, I just was ear raped by Rip Taylor.
I never thought that would be what you showed up with here, but
it just scared it. Like it's so loud so quickly,
and it's a wild voice.
Yeah. So, and he's a very big energy.
Anyway, we started and ended by talking about Rip Taylor here.
There you go.
Thanks, Bloodhound Gang. Let's take a break. List for the week was age inappropriate songs.
Yeah, and for me, it wasn't me by Shaggy and Rick Rock. Now, I don't have many times that I can count on one hand that my parents told me I couldn't listen or watch something at a young age. Purple Rain? Sure. Too Short's Blowjob Betty? Why not? But something about this track, my mother refused to accept. All I ever wanted to do was listen to my new Now That's What I Call Music Volume 6 in peace on summer days. From then on, my mom, rather than taking my Discman away, or the CD itself, encouraged me to skip the song. I hate to disappoint you, Mom, but needless to say, that didn't happen. And if anybody were to ask me if I did it, I would just simply say, it wasn't me.
Maybe she just didn't like the sound of the song.
No.
Okay.
No, that shit's a banger. It had to have been the lyrics. It might have been I was singing it in like mixed company. Might have embarrassed her, and she told me not to do that.
I can agree now that it's a banger, if you will, for like a silly mood. Mm-hmm. Back then, I was much more like Buddy Austin.
Okay.
You know, at least how he was, right? That's how I was for a long time, where if it sounded just stupid, like it was stupid on purpose. Actually, with that one, I think we've talked about this. I was never really sure it was stupid on purpose.
You just found out later in life?
No, I still think to a degree, maybe it's taking itself seriously. Like maybe they released this as a genuine take me seriously song.
Which song is it again?
It Wasn't Me by Shaggy?
Yeah, I don't think it was supposed to be goofy, but it kind of became like people used it in a goofy way. And then people spoofed it endlessly too.
That's what I mean. You could kind of hear, like, they thought maybe this was going to be a real song.
Oh, yeah. I think 100%.
And so...
It's kind of like the Mr. Lover Lover.
Yeah.
Like, you can take that song and, like, you think it's a goofy one.
That one's better.
It's better. I agree. But maybe it's something about Shaggy's voice. Like, he's trying to lay the Islander accent on a little bit thick.
Oh, those are both Shaggy, aren't they?
Yes, Mr. Lover Lover.
I was over here trying to think of, what's the one by Annie Kamosi?
You just said a word. I don't know who you're talking about.
It's not Mr. Loverman. There's another one.
No, Mr. Loverman. That's right. It's I'm singing Mr. Lover Lover. She called me Mr. Boombastic.
Mr. Boombastic is what you're talking about.
Is what I'm talking about.
See?
That's my bad.
See?
Mr. Boombastic.
This is why don't nobody like you.
Yeah, I'll show myself out now.
I'm just messing with you. The one I went with was The Shit You Can't Fuck With by Da Brat.
A Da Brat reference. All right, here we go.
Now, I talk about being free range. And now, anyway, okay.
That was intriguing.
I think your parents always found it pretty hilarious. That's probably why you got away with more musically than I did. Because I didn't. It was about the only area in life where I didn't get away with things sometimes.
You also live with Grandma. And Kaba never paid attention to my shit.
Fair point.
I swear, Grandma cared more than, I guess, Kaba paid attention to stuff like that. Because she still does it to me. Like, if I talk inappropriately, I'm a grown-ass woman. If still to this day, she'll give me like a... and like a smack. But then I can listen to this woman talk about shit rolling down her leg, walking down the highway, and I'm like, there's a double standard here. There's
something about that past generation that treats sex, like even the discussion of
more
sex,
taboo than...
like you're doing it in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just popped in a VHS tape of yourself and your partner fucking. That's kind of, that was the vibe I always got when it came to that sort of thing. I still remember the absolutely appalled look on my mom's face when I popped Da Brat's debut album in the CD player at my 10th birthday party after getting it as a gift from my friend Jason. This song started going far too hard for the average 10-year-old, and you would have thought our entire ancestral line was sitting in the room, shaking their heads at my mother disapprovingly. We're both talking about our mothers, by the way.
Damn, Mom.
Yeah. But for the way she reacted, you would have thought like the whole family, even the dead people, were all there just like, oh my God. Jason and my Aunt Misty thought it was hilarious as she scrambled in confusion for a resolve, finally landing on turning the music off and saying, maybe we save this listen until after the party. Even at 10, you'd think she would have been used to all the explicit music I liked listening to, but the literal entirety of my list here says otherwise. That's what my list is. All picks I got in trouble for listening to when I was a kid.
Mine contain quite a bit of those too. But then I put some in there that just, like, you don't realize that it's inappropriate until you get older and you're like, oh, wait, well, the polices don't stand so close to me.
Yeah.
It's about
it's those TikToks.
Yeah. Stuff like that. But it's funny that you made the comment of, oh, I got away with more when it came to music than you did. You got to do way more than I did. Like, my parents kept a close... my mom, like, they kept a their thumb on me more than I think your mom could keep a thumb on you. So, which is a really weird dynamic in a way. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons and I wasn't allowed to listen to Shaggy's. It wasn't me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons?
Yes. It doesn't make any sense to me. Blue grew up watching The Simpsons, so he's like, you remember that Treehouse of Horror? And I'm like, no, I wasn't allowed. Still to this day, I can count on one hand how many episodes of The Simpsons I've seen.
Damn. That's brutal.
I know. Thanks,
That
Mom.
show's still going. Did you know that?
It is, and it's on
Still
Disney
going.
Plus. I was going to attempt to start it from the beginning, and I think I got like probably 5 episodes in, and I just got busy.
Yeah, I think you have to be beyond season 1 to make it work. I think it starts getting good at 2. I think that's where it's gold.
Because I know it's a good show, and people reference it all the time. Like, I'd be living under a rock if I didn't know what The Simpsons were, or the premise, or the characters, or whatever. I mean, for God's sakes, I picked Ralph Wiggum as my song from the third Bloodhound album.
It's crazy, too, because that's one of those shows where I think I saw the episodes once. Like, we had to watch them when they came on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever really rewatched any of it. In South Park, I've seen all of those episodes probably a solid 10 times, you know?
Yeah. We even had a Simpsons video game on PS2 where you got to drive their vehicles and it was like a Grand Theft Auto-esque Simpsons game.
I know what you're talking about. I just can't think of the name, so I wasn't saying anything.
So
Hit and Run? Is that right?
Something like that. We had that game, but we weren't allowed to watch the show. What the fuck is going on? Anyway.
Pro tip for the youngins out there. Keep it under your headphones and your cool mom will usually stay cool. Mm. But yeah, you're right. If I had put like my cassettes just like over the fence or hidden them in the neighbor's yard or something, you know?
Yeah.
Just like 5 feet away from the house, I would have been fine. Because they never told you where to, I got up and left.
Yeah.
I would tell my mom if I was leaving the trailer park to go to, you know, a different trailer park or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it was 3 trailer parks in a row.
Yeah.
Before you got to town. That's how I grew up. You know, losing shoes in the lake bottom and getting attacked by dogs, and everyone was still just like, yeah, it's okay, go do whatever you want.
And here the fuck I can't listen to Shaggy's Wasn't Me.
Everyone worked.
That's true. It wasn't like people just didn't give a fuck. Yeah, your mom, grandma, they worked. I mean, your dad worked, but he was always somewhere else at the time. They had
to trust Misty, and usually Misty was still asleep in bed when we'd get home from school.
Well, essentially, even then, it was like a kid raising a kid. Like, it was a kid watching a kid. Misty was young. She was older, like, significantly older than you, but she was still very young at heart, so you can't...
I think she probably still is.
Yeah, yeah. You said it, not me.
I'm not knocking it. You know, everybody has their own life to live, so I just hope everybody's happy. That's a big break again. Let's go talk about The Lonely Island. Do you need a big fancy intro for The Lonely Island here? I know this is your jam.
The only thing that I can think of is that Ross Trent. Chia!
That's a good one. Thanks. First album we covered was Incredibad from 2009. This was my top album.
This is my middle album.
Out of the 19 tracks, I gave 13 5s.
I gave 7 5s.
Top track was Dream Girl.
My top track was, I was so torn between these two. Dick in a Box or Boombox.
Okay.
I love Boombox, but you just, when you get Timberlake and Sandberg together and you put some cheesy late 80s, early 90s like R&B to it, it's just like magic. I wish they would do like a whole album of just shit like that.
Yeah.
But
I was playing videos like Lonely Island because I was listening to music and we were on YouTube, so I was showing Taylor some stuff and we get most of the way through Boombox and I realized I have to turn it off.
People fucking
dirty. Yeah. So it's like, okay, buddy, let's watch Threw It on the Ground.
Yeah.
That one's okay all the way through. And he was like, why is he throwing it on the ground?
Happy birthday to the ground. Damn, Dad. Fucking up the cake over there.
I always like Dream Girl. It's just very sarcastic. And the notion of comparing someone to a bag of trash pretty much consistently.
Yeah.
And then about 3/4 of the way through the song, it just turns into a Chex Mix promo. Like that's other... Anyway. Bottom track was the Shrooms interlude.
My bottom track, even though I referenced it, was any of the skits or Ross Trent.
Aw, see.
I could never get into Ross Trent.
Okay.
And then it comes in super hard with Sandberg's ciao, and then it's just
Down, 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 down.
it's
Down,
I mean
down,
the beat's nice, but it's very reminiscent of like Snow's Imposter, but he calls it Impasta. You get what I'm saying.
At least this was on purpose. You
I
know what
I know. But still, it takes me back to that, and you're just like, why?
Sean, my brother-in-law Sean, used to talk about how much he didn't like Space Olympics on this album.
I also don't like We Like Sports, by the way.
It's another one, like, I like both of those songs, but I have to listen to them in a vacuum. If I watch the music videos, it just ruins it for me for some reason. Not only is this a pretty unique and musically diverse spin, but it's also surprisingly enduring for a comedy album. While not all tracks are winners and there's a lot of cliche cheese, the performances still land after all these years. If you dig skit comedy or pun-filled hip-hop, this is a must.
Goofy lyrics and pop culture relevant for the time. Definitely reference pop culture events and things that were popular when this was released. This offers a variety of sounds and song structures. It features many other celebrities, including Jack Black, Justin Timberlake, Norah Jones, T-Pain, Julian Casablancas, E40, and Natalie Portman. Too many stupid skits, except for Old Saloon. There's potential there.
I do like Old Saloon.
I wish it would have been an actual song and not like a little skit, because it's just dun 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 dun. It's just really infectious throughout. The lyrics are stupid, but I don't care.
I like that they made their point there, because it's really just focused on the intro to most rap songs. Because back then, if you downloaded like a LimeWire track, you were almost certain to get like someone shouting, you know, here's a label or some random artist over the top of the song, you know? And Sax Man.
Yes, I take that back. Sax Man, I gave it a 5. It's an absolute gem. And Jack Black is amazing. And when I was thinking about us doing promos for this, I was going to ask you, can you recreate Sax Man and send it in as a promo? But I won't be that needy. It's
such a perfect pairing. I think that's why so much of this album worked, is the pairings were just, it wasn't simply, let's collaborate. It was like, hey, we wrote this thing. We have this fucking hilarious idea for this shy sax player who maybe can't really play, you know? Yeah.
Take it, Sax Man.
And then let's get Jack Black on it to be the hype man, you know?
Okay. Yes. So the thing that I loved about, you could simply put in all of these celebrities and just sort of float off of their reference to get people to listen to it. But the fact that not only did they include these celebrities, but they took a bit of their character and their personality and they formed a song around it. So you have like Jack Black, who's the goofy hype man, who's this big energy. And then you have somebody like Justin Timberlake, who can take it back to that sort of soulful sounds of like the 90s or the early 90s. And
he's here a lot, by the way.
He is. He's on every album.
Should point that out. Like if you like Jimmy Fallon stuff, because Timberlake shows up a lot with Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Fallon actually introduced these guys to the SNL creator, Lorne Michaels, and made this group a thing. And so I think they all kind of play off of one another in a really great way. Yep. I still want to see Jimmy Fallon with The Lonely Island.
Yeah, like, which is weird that it hasn't showed up yet. But, well, we haven't listened to Popstar.
Right.
Maybe.
I mean, I've listened to it. I don't remember if he's there or not. All I remember about Popstar is fucking Hunter the Hungry is gonna eat. We are way out in left field.
Sorry, go ahead.
Did you talk about the album? Your thoughts?
I did.
Okay.
I'm ready to move on. Let's go to Turtleneck and Chain, man.
Turtleneck and Chain is the next album, and that's from 2011. This was my middle pick.
This is my top album.
Out of the 19 tracks, I gave 8 5s.
I gave 6 5s.
Turtleneck and Chain was my top song.
I'm not surprised. My top song was I Just Had Sex.
I'm not surprised. Bottom track is the No Homo outro.
Yeah, no homo. Yeah, it's Watch Me Do Me. Watch Me Do Me.
You know what's funny is...
It's me.
My rating... Yeah, it's you.
It's me, thanks.
My rating from back in the day for Watch Me Do Me was a 5. I think I just used to find that really hilarious for some reason. It's one of those things like a rapper shouts a lot of time, like, watch me do me.
Yeah.
And then it just switches into a masturbation thing.
And that's as
I took it down quite a bit. I pegged it down.
As much as I joke
Shouldn't
and talk
about pegged. Anyway,
as much as I talk about sex, hearing people get off makes me uncomfortable. Like if I'm alone, it's not so bad, but hearing a gimmicky, goofy, just no, I'm good. You can keep that to yourself.
It is funny skit for what it's worth. Maybe a little off-putting. This one has a slightly more polished sound, and many of the fives outshine what you find on their debut. Problem is that the rest of the disc is half-cocked, and there's an over-reliance on skits here. While it's absolutely worth a listen, I wish it was more solid throughout.
This features more celebrities, including Akon, Beck, Michael Bolton, Snoop Dogg, Rihanna, Justin Timberlake again, and Nicki Minaj. Like I said earlier, Timberlake and Sandberg as a 90s R&B duo is pure magic that I would love to bottle and keep for myself. But they rely a little bit too much on club or beat tracks here. For me, it is my top, and it is good. These first two albums, I will go back to over and over and over again.
Which leaves us with the Wack album from 2013. This was my bottom album.
This is also my bottom album.
Out of the 20 tracks, though, I gave 8 5s.
I gave 2 5s.
My top track was Hugs.
My top track was Three Way.
Alrighty. Again, not surprised.
No, that was okay.
I think there's a serious freak in Rayburn's head.
Hey.
Can we all agree
Helicopter
on that
Dick,
out there?
Shane. It's the only song that includes Helicopter Dick.
This is true. Which just makes me think of your dad saying he wants to go in the bedroom and play Helicopter Man.
It's funny because I've never heard Helicopter Dick aside from it coming out of my dad's mouth in public until I heard this song. And I'm like, it is a thing.
Isn't that from Go Kindergarten?
What the fuck is that?
They're helicoptering their dicks in kindergarten. Go Kindergarten is what it is.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and now
the
I'm
Robin
concerned.
song, Go
Nah.
Kindergarten?
Mm-mm.
You got me tripping here.
I'm not saying you're making it up. It just doesn't.
Whip your dick out. Whip your dick out.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was Robin.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
You seen the video? That's Robin. It's a trip.
Well,
90s pop star out of nowhere. Here she is. Bottom track was I'm a Hustler. Song?
Question mark?
Yeah.
My bottom track is either, I was torn, I Don't Give a Honk or You've Got the Look.
Yeah. It's sad too. I want to really like You've Got the Look.
Mm-hmm.
Like You Don't Give a Honk. It's one of those sillier Bloodhound Gang ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it sounds good on paper and then you do it.
Yeah, and then you're like, this was a mistake.
It got tired. It got tired real fast before the first verse, you know? But the look, like you want it to be great.
Mm-hmm.
It's
also got a really great title.
Maybe the video was redeemable. I don't know. Because I think that was a skit. Had to have been from SNL, right? Because...
I mean, most of these are.
True.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, I'm going to shut up then.
Speaking of Robin, is that the same Robin that we were just talking about featured on this album? Robin with a Y, Robyn.
Show Me Love from the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
She had another hit and it's not coming to mind.
She's on this album then.
Yeah.
She's okay.
Go Kindergarten. The song Go Kindergarten.
Oh, okay.
I'm surprised you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's fucking Puff Daddy and Paul Rudd in a club. You really have not seen this music video.
No.
All right, when we're done.
Okay.
Before you play video games with my son, that's the first thing we're doing.
Okay. This also features, like I said, Robin, Pharrell, Kendrick Lamar, Solange, Hugh Jackman, Kristen Wiig, Billie Joe Armstrong, Lady Gaga, T-Pain, Too Short, and Adam Levine. This is heavy club inspirations. It contains a lot of strong contributions, but overall, this album is kind of lackluster. The yell rapping that is established... It's more and more established as we go along the discography. It gets tiring.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it when they offer a little bit more of a variety of sounds like they did in the previous albums.
There's just as much gold here as there was on Turtleneck Chain, but many of the non-fives are weaker, making the Wack album a pretty perfect title. Whether it's wasted guest spots, underwhelming choruses, laughs that don't last, or two inside, or rehashed ideas, there's just a lot this effort comes up short on beyond the hits. And because the disc front loads most of its best material, you really notice the drawbacks. Still, 8 is a solid number of winners, so take my knocks lightly.
And for those of you that don't know, The Lonely Island consists of 3 people. Obviously, Andy Samberg, Yorma, and then what's the other guy's name? I never remember his name. It's really weird.
You just said Yorma.
It's weirder than Yorma.
Okay.
Anyway, 3 guys. Keeve. Yeah. Keeve is weirder than
We're playing
Yorma.
a trivia game I don't know answers to,
Anyway.
so please don't judge me. Judge her. She had the ability to write all this down and didn't get it done.
Anyway, the three guys met in junior high in California. They then moved to LA and rented an apartment, which they lovingly named The Lonely Island. Thus is where the name of the group comes from. They're famous for writing and performing musical skits on SNL, like Shane said. Jimmy Fallon kind of introduced them to
Lorne
Michaels. That's right. I knew his name. It
creator
was escaping
of
me.
Saturday Night Live.
Yes. They are Emmy-winning artists. They won an Emmy in 2007, and they were also in the movies Hot Rod, Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, the new Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie.
I could have lived without knowing that.
Well, you know Sandberg's in it because he's Dale.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Yorma's in it too. Yorma likes to be in front of the camera more than Keeve does because Yorma was also in Hot Rod. He played Sandberg's brother.
I think a lot of people know Sandberg now from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure most of those people don't know the rest of Sandberg's work. Like
other than,
this. And
other
bugs
than
me.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Also, another movie, Sandberg movie that is completely underrated that also features The Lonely Island, Palm Springs on Hulu.
Okay.
It's really, really good. Really funny.
What's your favorite music video by The Lonely Island?
Oh, dude, that's so hard. You know what? I'm not going to answer your question, but instead I'm going to say, do you want to know what Lonely Island song is surprisingly I'm not crazy about?
Why do you ask me questions like that? If I told you no, would you not give me the answer?
Maybe. It's Lazy Sunday.
Okay. I don't think I've seen it.
It's not just the video, it's the song. Everybody's like, oh, Lazy Sunday. I'm just like, there's way better ones out there.
It's more of a like before you realized what the group was completely capable of.
Yeah. That one was early on. And it's just Sandberg and what's his name? He's an Archer. Cyril Figgis. What's his name?
Oh, dude.
You know who I'm thinking of.
I know who you're thinking
Okay.
of, but I don't know the name of the voice talent. So.
The music videos that I probably watched over and over again was probably Boombox.
Okay.
I like the direction that they took. Boombox, I Just Had Sex, because it's funny. And Three-Way, probably.
The Creep is mine.
The Creep's good.
I feel like it's a really good representation of what they do on the album.
Mm-hmm.
So Boombox has a great music video.
Can we talk about how they got John Waters
Sure.
to introduce the song?
Well, I mean, you're talking about
that
it.
could not be more perfect. I love it.
He's pretty good. I just like Nicki Minaj in the video and the facial expressions and the way they dorked him up. It's really good. Some of the SNL shorts aren't on any of these albums. So you'll see videos online like Great Day or Part 1 of Shy Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff's not on any disc anywhere. My brother-in-law, Sean, introduced me to this group, showed me their videos on YouTube. Their music makes me feel like life can always be more fun than we tend to let it be.
All right. Well, I'm going to say thank you, Sean, as well, because Shane is the one that introduced me to this group. And it very much shaped my high school experience because these were the two CDs that were on repeat constantly. Fucking 7 o'clock in the morning, rolling into school, windows down, blaring. Lock eyes from across the room. I shit you not. That was me. So thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. The last thing that I want to tack on is they should be more appreciated because they write all their own shit. And that's something that should be acknowledged.
And they do normally design a full experience, to include visuals and everything else. Mm-hmm. But I wish when it comes to the albums that they release, that they would solidly flesh out every track and cut what falls flat. Mm-hmm. I think that's really the only place that they seem to be failing. Like you're getting 8s on a bottom album, 8 5s from it. You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
You just got too much filler type of stuff there.
Yeah.
While it may sound like for me, this group has a shtick that's weakening, my picks here don't paint the full picture. They've gone on to do 2 full film soundtracks, which we've already talked about, which continue their trend of solid comedy offerings. Once you know what you love by The Lonely Island, they really do have serious staying power.
So I don't think I have to ask you this question.
No.
Okay.
It's pretty obvious.
And you don't have to ask me either. It's obvious. Lonely Island took it for me. They are comedy powerhouses. and they don't stick to just one thing. It seems like they have a broad understanding of doing a lot of different things with their music, and it's definitely one that I would highly recommend you give a listen if you have any sort of comedic bones in your body.
Yes, and I'd also want to say that major props to the Bloodhound gang. I did pair them against the Lonely Island for a reason. They were there earlier, doing it sooner, and did a lot of the shaping and ground laying for what the Lonely Island got to do with a lot less of a budget.
Yeah.
Lonely Island has pretty much endless funds at their disposal when it comes to a lot of this stuff.
Lauren Michaels backing you, you got a lot to work with.
Yes. Do you remember what we're in for next time we're on?
No, why don't you remind me, Shane?
So, one of Katie's top 10 artists, my sister Katie, came out of the jar. We drew all of this in advance at the beginning of the season, so no duplicating any one person in the jar. But Katie came out, and she had Jewel as one of her top 10 artists, who we have going up against Natalie Merchant. Now, the Jewel albums we'll be covering are Pieces of You from 1995, 0304 from 2003, and Sweet and Wild from 2010. And with Natalie Merchant, we have 1995's Tiger Lily, 1998's Ophelia, and 2014's self-titled Natalie Merchant. And a very fun playlist, I'll say that.
No comment.
Anything you need to add before we get out of here?
No, I'm ready to go play video games with your son. Let's hurry this up.
You're ready to watch Go Kindergarten.
Yeah, that too, sure.
That's going to do it for this episode. Hit up our playlist on Spotify, visit our merch shop, share our show with your friends, subscribe to the show. That'd be nice too.
Yeah, there's always that.
Come find us on social media to let us know what you think. And until next time, fill your world with music.
And remember, your boombox is not a toy.